Good evening, everybody. Sorry I'm late. I got caught in a ton of traffic, and then I came home, and of course I had to make myself some dinner because I am starving. I don't even remember the last time I ate today. So apologies about that. So if you were in the info session yesterday, it's not any different content. It's really the same. I just wanted to give a second opportunity for people who weren't available yesterday. To ask some questions, or if they didn't get a chance to watch the replay, that's fine. We're just doing a second one today. So I'm going to go through the same slide like I did yesterday and talk a little bit about the core team, talk about the positions available, some of the expectations, the selection process, and more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the slide deck right now. I wanted to put this out there. If you have any questions, ask them anytime. I don't want to do the thing where you wait to the end to ask questions. Just drop them in the chat. They pop into your head, drop them into the chat, and I'll answer them as I go. It's better that way, makes more sense, and you won't forget about your question. So, okay, let me go ahead and grab that slide deck real quick and put that on my screen. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that, okay? All right. All right, so the first thing is, what is the core team? The core team is the DSC leadership team. It's the same thing as your leadership team of officers that you might be more comfortable with, like that term for student clubs. But I've broken it up into 3 branches. First is the logistical team. This team is focused on leading the core team and managing the club overall and trying to ensure success from a logistical standpoint. Next is the technical team, and the technical team is just made up of tech leads. The tech leads are focused on organizing workshops, mentoring club members, and practicing and learning a wide variety of technical topics. Last is the non-technical team. And I think the non-technical team is probably the most important team. I know that's kind of weird because we are a technical club, but the reason is because the non-technical team is focused on coordinating events, growing awareness of our club, and managing / creating relationships with other clubs and organizations. And for a club like us, who's just getting started, is extremely important. The only way we grow is by reaching new people, and ways to do that is through social media, through sharing events with other clubs, through collaborating and creating partnerships with other organizations, whether they be on campus, at other campuses, or with other businesses / external organizations. So non-technical team, super important. If you feel like you're a good fit for one of those roles, please go ahead and apply for that. Next is what positions are available. I don't think I even put an actual slide on this. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to show you the website. So give me 1 second. We're going to pull up our website. Okay. If you go to our website, which is dscucf.com, there I'm dropping it in the chat. It'll take you to a site that looks just like this. I've made it a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. There's a bunch of buttons right here, right? I talked about this at the info session, but if you go to core team roles, it'll show you what roles we have available. And then when you go to the Google Doc, it'll show you each of the positions that are organized into each of the teams, which is logistical, technical, and non-technical. So first is president / lead, which is myself. Then co-lead, project lead, technical lead, event coordinator, marketing lead, partnerships lead. Someone asked this yesterday. Great question. Notice how for all the positions I put an S because traditionally with student clubs there's one vice president. But DSC is a little bit different. We want to create a leadership team that's applicable for our university and for our student body. And if it makes more sense to have multiple, then we're gonna have multiple, and we're gonna call them co-leads instead of vice president because it makes more sense. And technically, I'd rather my position to be called lead instead of president. But since you kind of have to have a president from UCF, I put a slash. So it's a high likelihood that we'll have multiple co-leads. Same thing goes with project leads. Project leads will be mostly focused on helping for future events and also especially assisting with um, ensuring the success of students when we get closer to the solution challenge, which I'll talk a little bit about later since I did have a couple questions on the solution challenge. Then there's tech leads. I want to mention something about tech leads. I know for most people, if you don't read the entire thing, it looks kind of overwhelming because if you look, you probably see must have proficiency, and then you just see, oh my gosh, look at all these skills. Okay, I'm basically saying which may include but not limited to some of these technologies. So you don't need to be proficient in all these technologies. If you're proficient in some and you feel like you're the type of person who can pick up new things quickly, that's super important because if there's something that our club wants to learn, you can pick it up quickly and hopefully learn it to a point where you can teach it or assist with it at the very minimum. So these are just some technologies that I came up with as an example, front end, back end, and design. But of course, sky's the limit. And there's a ton of other stuff as well. And there's also topics that aren't really on here, like machine learning is really not on here, or if there's or AI is not really on here. So if you have some expertise in that, then there's definitely some value there as well. So if you feel like you are more experienced in some of these technologies plus some other topics that I kind of just mentioned, then you will probably be a great fit to be a technical lead. Then, of course, we have our non-technical position. So event coordinator, of course, is focused on our events. Marketing lead is going to help grow awareness of the club, manage our social media channels, help with Discord. That'll be a big one. And then partnerships lead. So that will help with creating relationships with other student clubs at UCF, other DSCs at other universities, or third-party organizations like maybe nonprofits or something like that if we decide to do a project with them. So that's where the partnerships lead will come in. All very important roles. None of these are just filler roles. At my previous university, I did kind of have some filler roles, like just kind of roles that I thought would be kind of important, so I kind of put them, and then I kind of realized that there wasn't a lot of stuff for that person to do. So I narrowed it down to, let's see, there's 7, I think, right? 3 logistical, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so there's 7 roles total. But there's not only going to be 7 people that are selected because remember what I said earlier, there's an S. So there's a high likelihood that for each of these positions, there's going to be multiple, especially for the tech leads. Someone did ask us yesterday, how many tech leads are there going to be? I'm thinking somewhere between 6 and 10 tech leads. I want to have a tech lead team. I want to have a group of tech leads that are all, it's a well-rounded team. Maybe someone who's good at this, someone who's really good at that, and not just one team of tech leads where everyone knows the same stuff. I want to keep it really well-rounded because that's valuable in trying to create events to cater to students that want to learn certain topics. So yeah, that was a really good question that I got yesterday. But for the rest of these positions, I'm not going to give a specific number because first of all, we haven't hit the deadline. The deadline is tonight to apply. So I don't know how many people have applied for each of those positions yet. So I don't know a specific number for all of them. But for the tech leads, somewhere between probably 6 and 10. So definitely apply to be a tech lead if that's something that you're interested in. Yeah, so take a look at those positions and read through some of the main duties of those roles to kind of get a better idea of what's involved with those positions. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the slide deck. Okay. All right. What positions are available? I just answered that. So yeah, go ahead and check out our website, which is what I said before. Okay, how do I apply? Good question. Oh, let's see. This is the slide that I didn't make. So I went a little bit too early. So watch this. So if you go to our website again, and you go to not the core team roles, but the core team application. If you click that, it'll take you to a Google form that I made, just like this. So I'm gonna quickly go over this. I see there's a question, but I'll go ahead and look at that, or might be a comment. First is the eligibility verification. So you have to put your email. It could be your UCF email or your personal email. I don't really care. Put your first name, your last name, what year you are. Notice how I included a graduate if you're a graduate student. Are you a dual enrolled student? I'm pretty sure I had a dual enrollment year thing here, but if you're a dual enrollment student and you're like a high school dual enrolled, just put freshman. That's fine. Doesn't really matter too much. Here's the question that I guess some people are tripped up on. I can change the wording if it's too confusing, but will you be an enrolled student at Valencia or UCF during the fall 2020 semester? So we're actually going to keep this club open to Valencia students and UCF students for the time being because Valencia does not have a DSC yet. Probably next year, it'll probably be in the Google's plan to hopefully start a DSC at Valencia. But for the time being, since there's a lot of students who are either doing classes at Valencia and UCF or some dual enrollment students, I want to keep it open to both, especially during the whole virtual thing. It's really it's not going to hurt us to include Valencia students as well. So if you're Valencia or UCF, you are definitely eligible for a position. You're going to say yes to this question, that yes, you will be enrolled during this semester. If you're not enrolled during this semester, meaning you're not a student during this semester that we're in right now, unfortunately, you cannot apply for the core team because the entire core team is going to be for active students only. So if you're from another university that's watching this, unfortunately, you can't be a part of the core team. You can be in the Discord. You can attend our virtual events if you'd like, but you have to be a Valencia or UCF student to be a part of the core team. Okay. I think someone said, I think if there were multiple tech leads with varying skill sets, it would be better anyway because they can learn from collaborating with each other. 100%. I agree with that. Being able to collaborate with each other and learn things from each other is definitely something really important, especially during the whole virtual world that we're living in right now. So yes, 100%. That is also part of it. Hopefully they can teach each other some things. But yeah, having it well-rounded is super important. Besides hosting events for stuff tech leads may know, will Google help in events to learn, let's say GCP or about search too? Okay, that's a really good question. So, let me make sure I didn't disconnect my mic. I think I'm still good on the mic. Yeah, good question. So first, let me back up for a second. So GCP, the main way we learn GCP as a club is through Google Quick Labs. So that's going to be a platform that we use for events that we call Cloud Study Jams. And Quick Labs is super cool. If you haven't looked at it, you can go check it out. It's a lab-based online platform that gives everyone access to GCP. And you can learn a bunch of stuff because, of course, GCP is huge. So usually the way we do it is the tech leads, if they most tech leads haven't used GCP before, when they come in, that's fine. It's not a requirement to know GCP. So you can come in and we'll usually figure out a topic that people want to learn around GCP. And then we'll have the tech leads get access to Google Quick Labs before the event. And they can actually go and run through all the labs on Quick Labs and become a little bit more comfortable with GCP. And they can run through it a couple of times until they got it down. It's comfortable. They don't have to think about it. And then when it comes to the event, then it's just like second nature. So that's kind of like the idea. Now, in terms of hosting events and where does Google support play? That's a good question. I'm going to talk a little bit. Let me just talk about first Google's where do they stand in staying involved with like our club kind of. So the way Google supports us is, one, they give us free access to Google Quick Labs. So normally you have Quick Labs has their currency called credits, and each lab costs a different amount of credits. So normally you would have to pay for them, which is usually like $1 per credit, and like an average lab is anywhere from like 3 to 12 credits each. So of course you could see that doing a lot of labs would kind of stack up pretty quickly and become expensive, but Google gives it all to us for free. So the way we get it for free is, for each event, we get an access code that we give out to all the attendees. All the attendees can add it to their account, and they get a 1-month subscription that lets them do unlimited labs. So that's one way that they support us. Another way that they support us is we get access to some student benefits, which I believe I might have already posted in the Discord server, but I can do that again, which is pretty cool. But since you mentioned certs, one of the certs that Google is trying to push for people to learn is the Google Cloud Associate. I believe that's the name of the certification. I didn't even look it up, and I said it yesterday as well. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. The Google Cloud Associate. That is pretty much a certification that basically says that you're like really well-rounded in using GCP, and managing projects in GCP, using the CLI in GCP, and stuff like that. I'm actually going to write that down right now. And after this is over, I'm going to go ahead information in the Discord. Oh yeah, so that's actually probably, I would say, probably the first certification that people should go for as being a part of this club. What are the different certs available, and how are we going to be able to learn them, train for them? Okay, yeah. So like I was just saying, the GCP Associate is probably the one that people should start with, being a part of this club. And pretty much the 2 ways to study or prepare for it is using Quick Labs. There's a website. I don't want to pull it up right now. I don't want to take up too much time. I will pull it up and link all this stuff in the Discord that I'm talking about. There's a site actually that shows some info about the certification, and then shows you all of the labs that you should complete on Quick Labs to prepare you for the exam. Also, there's another platform that we can get access to called Coursera. Coursera is a little bit different than Quick Labs. The way that it works is it's a little bit more, it feels more like a class, but it's self-paced. You can do it at your own time. And there's a bunch of videos that you have to watch. There's videos, some quizzes, and some tests that you have to do. And it doesn't really feel like a class, because it's not like graded. You're not like penalized if you do bad or anything, but it's just another resource that you can use to study for a bunch of different things. And also in Coursera, some of the coursework actually just links you back to Quick Labs and says, okay, for this section, we're going to do this lab in Quick Labs, which is kind of cool. Yes, the associate is pretty equivalent to AWS Cloud Practitioner. I'm glad you said that. It's pretty equivalent to that. Yeah, it's the same. I actually was looking at the AWS Cloud Practitioner because it's part of my cyber class. It looks pretty much the same as Google's, but just on GCP. It really looks like the same thing. So yes, it's pretty much the equivalent of that as far as I know. So yeah, that's something that's super cool. Other ways Google supports us is trying to think. I mean, I pretty much have the ability to get like Danny and Madusha, which are the 2 community managers for North America, and then I also have like a big directory of Google experts across the country and the globe now. And I also have like a directory of other leads at other DSCs and other Google developer groups, which are basically like DSCs, but for the whole community, not just students. And that's cool too, to get like a GDG member to come and speak at an event. So that's super cool. So that's another way Google supports us. How are like events and summits going to work, assuming we are hosting them within the near future? Okay, yeah. So let me talk a little bit more about events in general. So The way we're going to do events is I tried to, when I was at FAU, I tried to do one event per month. I think it's super manageable, and it seems like a pretty good frequency. Outside of that, we can do some smaller things if people want to, like, I don't know, do like an intro to Git or something like that, which doesn't really take that long. But doing like, like a study jam or like a Flutter event or like a Firebase event or something like that takes a lot of planning. And I think doing one a month is probably good. But of course, we do some other little things on the side. Like I want to do some social events, like Discord game nights or stuff like that. And that's not really an event. It's just kind of like coming together, socializing, having fun, and that doesn't really take a lot of planning. So we'll do one thing a month, and kind of the way that it works is we're going to figure out what the club wants to learn, and then our whole core team is going to come together and figure out what we need to get done to make the event happen. Find a date, of course, and then figure out all the things we got to get done and start designating tasks to people, and then make the event happen. And usually we'll do the event on YouTube Live, so people can come attend, follow along, and learn with us. But yeah, so that's pretty much events. We'll also be sometimes, excuse me, sorry, let me get a sip of water. Whew, my throat was drying out a little bit. Okay, so what we'll also do is attend other DSC events. So DSCs are hosting events constantly, and I'm actually in a Slack channel with all other DSCs across the country, or actually on the continent, because it also includes Canada. So I basically have like a steady stream of events that people are hosting, and I want to see what people want to learn, and then we can, if it's like, if people say, hey, I want to learn ML, and then there's an ML event, then it's nice because we can attend that event and we didn't really have to put in all the planning and worry about all the logistics of making that happen. We can just attend, which is kind of, I think it's a really cool thing about the whole virtual world that we're living in, is we can just go and pop into an event that's happening in California or one that's happening in Canada, and that's super cool. So that is something that we'll definitely do. Okay. Will being in the club help in discounts on the voucher for exam? And I'm sorry, besides events to get the credits, what else to get credits for Quick Lab? Okay, so all right, so let me answer the second part first. So Quick Labs. The way you get access to Quick Labs is by attending a cloud study jam. The way that it works is I get a code from Google that we give out to all the attendees. So when you attend your event, you'll enter the code and you get free, unlimited 30-day access to Quick Labs. That means after the event is over, if you want to go do like 70 other quests and labs, power to you. That's going to take a long time, but you can do that. You can do however many you want. You could do all of them if you can somehow fit that into a month. I guarantee that's probably not possible, but if you want to do it, go for it. And then the cool part is, let's say we do intro to GCP for our first quest. If you finish the quest that we're doing for the event, you actually get an additional 30 days. So that means you'll get 60 days of unlimited access to Quick Labs. And then you don't have to worry about credits. You have basically a subscription will pop up in your profile, but you're not paying for it. That's what the code is. The code is called the subscription. It's called the Advantage subscription. And when you have the Advantage subscription, you can do whatever you want. And then once your subscription is expired, we'll probably do another event where you can get another code, and then your 30-day access will continue. And then hopefully we can do it in a frequency where you just kind of have like rolling access. Like your access expires, then we do another event, your access is renewed, and we keep doing that. So hopefully you can continually learn throughout the year. In terms of the discount for the exam, I'm actually not sure about that. I do know for 100% fact, if you want to take your G Suite certification exam, you can get 50% off from Google from being part of a DSC. There is a link for that. It's on the student benefits. I'm going to post the student benefits. I wrote that down on my to-do list. I will get that done after this is over. You can definitely get 50% off on the G Suite exam. I know that. I don't know about the associate exam, and I don't think there is, but I will check. So yeah, unfortunately, Google can't cover the cost of the exam, but they're giving us access to study for free, which is nice. Um, that sounds fun. A nice mix between social events and events pertaining to the club. Yep. Since again, connections are really important, and social events definitely help firm that up. 100%. Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree. Yeah, I'm glad you asked about the certification though, because I mentioned it yesterday, but I don't think anyone asked any questions about that. So yeah, that's actually on my list. I have this long list of certifications that I want to get. What I'm working on right now is my Security Plus certification. If you don't know what that is, it's not really a CS certification. It's more of a cybersecurity / IT security certification. So I'm probably going to take the exam for that, not this weekend, but next weekend. And then I'm going to move on to my next certification, which is, I think I'm going to work on my OSCP next, which is I think it's Offensive Security Certified Professional, which is like for ethical hacking and stuff like that. It's a hard exam. It takes 24 hours to take the test. It's crazy. Okay, I'm getting off topic though. Let me go ahead and go back to the slide deck, and then I also have some other Q&A questions that a lot of people ask about the core team. All right, let me take this screen off real quick. Okay. Okay. How are leads selected? So this is the process pretty much. You're going to, hopefully, if you're interested, apply using the form tonight by midnight. And then after, I'm going to set up a time with you for a casual interview just to meet you, to get to know you, and to ask a little bit about your skill sets. I said this yesterday, I'm going to say it again. This is not a job interview. So please don't come on this Google Meet dressed up in like a suit or like like a fancy outfit or something. Just put on a t-shirt and come talk to me for like a little bit. It's probably going to be like 20 minutes, maybe. And yeah, I just want to talk to you, get to know you, because in this whole virtual world, I want to have as much connection as possible with the people that are in the club, and especially the people that are on my core team. And I also want to just make sure that you're a good fit for the role. And if you have any questions or concerns, and this is a good time. If you apply and then during our interview you change your mind, that's fine. I just want to have some time to just talk to you. And yeah, it's nothing serious, seriously. And then after all the interviews are done, I will announce the core team in Discord. So someone asked yesterday, how soon are the interviews going to start? Well, the deadline's tonight, so I'll probably start going through everyone who applied and reaching out to them via email or through Discord, and asking when their availability is this week or this weekend or even next week if you're slammed this week, which I understand. Then we can set up a time and get it on the calendar, and then we can get through those interviews. And once they're done, then the core team will be selected. Imagine getting all ready by suiting up just to sit down. That's hilarious. That's very true. I've seen people who who attend like these virtual gala things that have been happening, like for like nonprofit organizations and stuff. They get all dressed up, come and sit down in their chair, hop on Zoom, and then that's it. It's crazy. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. Okay, that's actually the end of the slide deck. I'm going to remove the slide deck so you can see my whole face. I actually have a couple other questions that people normally ask about core team. I'm going to move this screen, and it won't let me move it over here, so I got to look at this screen. Okay, one question that I have gotten before is, what happens if I get a core team role and life happens and I can't commit any more time to the role anymore? Good question. I would say this normally happens when a new semester starts. If you decide to take like a heavier load of classes, let's say for spring, let's say spring starts up, you took a heavier load of classes, you're super overwhelmed, your brain is like fried. You also have work and other extracurricular activities, and this is like super low in the totem pole for you. I get that. I feel that. I understand. I've been there. I really do. I understand. So what we'll probably do is I just want to talk. We'll talk a little bit about it, and see if it's something that you can manage going forward. And if you can't, that's fine. We could always like kind of like relieve you of that role and then see if there's someone else in the club who's willing to fill the empty position, and then we can kind of just make a transition like that. But it's not going to be anything, no hard feelings, no, oh, we're angry that you can't commit any time anymore. This is supposed to be fun, not something that's supposed to make you feel stressed out. So if it becomes that where it's stressing you out, it's another thing on your plate that you just can't fit, I get that. Just talk to me and we'll figure out what the best plan is. Another one is, that's ridiculous. Yep, it is kind of ridiculous that yeah, the gala stuff is kind of funny. I mean, hey, if you're a nonprofit, you gotta get donations somehow, but it's kind of funny. Okay. Another one is, I don't have much experience in any of these roles, but I want to get involved in the core team. What should I do? Okay. I care more about your motivation and your interest and your personality to get involved in the core team. What do I mean by that? If you're super social, you're an extrovert, and you really care about our club, the mission of our club, and you're like, I want everybody to know, then you sound like you're going to be a really good marketing lead. Or if you're like, hey, I'm pretty knowledgeable in a lot of different topics. I want to help teach other people. I want to make these events happen, and I'll skill sets. Then you sound kind of like a tech lead. And then in that case, I don't really care so much about your past experience with other clubs or other organizations, because to be honest with you, being a DSC lead was my first ever leadership position in any club, because I started at Florida Atlantic University last year in 2019 in the fall, and then I was a lead for a year, and that was my first ever leadership position in any student club. So I get that. And the past experience is not really that important. I ask on the form just because I'm curious, but that doesn't in any way mean that it's a requirement. So yeah, you don't need to have past experience. I care more about your personality and how you're going to fit into that role. Another question is, I want to be on the core team, but I'm a full-time student. I work and I have other extra commitments. What should I do? Okay, this kind of goes hand in hand with the first thing that I said. I think what you should do is kind of sit down, map out how a normal week looks for you. That's kind of what I do sometimes, is write down the main times that you do stuff. So like maybe like on, for me, it's like Tuesdays and Thursdays are my busy days. I have class in the afternoon, and then I also have class like an hour later. So I have class from 2 to 5, and then I got class from 6 to 9:30. So basically Tuesdays and Thursdays are just like right out. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday are a little bit more open, but I work out in the morning on Wednesday and Friday, and then Mondays are Monday. So it's just kind of like figuring out how do you manage your time on the rest of those days. Of course, I work, so I got to fit that in on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So map out what your schedule looks like, and then ask yourself, do I have any extra time to dedicate to this club? If the answer is yes, and you think that you can legitimately manage it, then go for it. But if you think, okay, if I do this, I'm not going to have any time to breathe, then don't. I don't want you to do something that's going to stress you out. Really, don't stress yourself out. It's going to burn you out. It's not going to be fun. But I don't. At the same time, I don't want to say what I just said, and make you feel like this club is a ton of time. It's not a ton of time. I'm going to talk a little bit about what your commitment looks like in a second. Actually, let me go with that now. So a lot of people have asked we meet, what is the meeting schedule going to be, and how much time is the core team pick up out of my life. So in terms of just meetings, the way that I want to do it is we're going to have one meeting per week for core team, and it's going to be a Scrum meeting style. If you're not familiar with a Scrum meeting, what it is, basically, we're all going to come together for like 20 minutes tops. No more. It's a very quick meeting. We kind of go in a circle, and you talk about what you completed from your to-do list, what you're working on right now, and then what you need help with. That's it. You just say those three things. So I would say, for example, I finished the slide deck for the Cloud Study Jam. I'm working on the event page on the Bevy platform, but I need help because I don't have the correct image to put for the event. So if someone can get that to me. So, and then I could be like, oh, okay, this person needs an image for the page. I'll put that on my list. And then I just write down, and then after the meeting is done, I get it to that person. And that's it. That's it. 20 minutes and you're done. It's it. 20 minutes, not a lot of time. This is not a time to sit down and talk like, oh, I had this idea. Let's do this. No, that's a long form meeting. Scrum is 20 minutes and you're done. Then I do have one long form meeting per month. I don't know how long those will take, but I have one Scrum per week and one long form meeting per month. So this is the long form meeting will be to talk about what are some ideas for moving forward. We can talk about what is the feedback from the club, what kind of things does the club want to learn, kind of self-assessing ourselves. How do we think we did on our last event? How can we do better? Stuff like that. Just kind of like a discussion, open discussion. And planning as well, planning for events there as well. And then I want to have one general body meeting per month. So this is for the entire club. And the general body meeting is mostly focused on keeping people updated, letting people know what's upcoming. It can also be an opportunity for people to ask questions about the club on kind of what's going on. But really, the general body meeting should be a way for people to know what's going on behind the scenes. So that's really the whole point of the general body meeting. So those three things: one Scrum a week, 20 minutes, one long form meeting per month, and then one general body meeting per month. So in terms of hard time, that's pretty much a big part of the commitment. But outside of that, really the big thing that our core team is going to be focused on is getting ready for events and making those events possible. So of course there's some time behind the scenes that we have to work on getting ready for the event. And the best way to do that is to delegate tasks out to people. So one person isn't doing everything. And we kind of like, okay, we need to make a list of everything that needs to get done, from marketing the event to making it happen, and list out all those things, and then I'll help by delegating those tasks out to people. And then assuming that we can kind of fly through that list, then it's really not that hard to make these big events happen. Yes, and Scrum is very effective. It's super effective. I was just introduced to it very recently as well, and it's good. It's way better than the meeting that you have to sit through that you want to fall asleep. This is very interactive and just like boom, 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 get done, and then you're out. Okay, another question I wrote down is, I'm just a freshman. Should I even bother applying? Great question. I'm not one of those people that says age is an indicator of your skill set. If you're a freshman and you want to be on the core team, then apply. That's simple. Let me tell a quick story that I told yesterday. So probably my most dedicated and most hardworking tech lead from FAU is a 16-year-old dual enrollment student who is technically still in high school. It's crazy. He knows a ton of stuff. It feels like he knows everything about web development. He knows a lot about a lot. It's crazy how much that he knows. And he has saved my butt a lot, and a lot of different in planning for events, making events happen. He goes above and beyond without me even asking. And that goes to show that your age has nothing to do with your skill set. So, and something also to add is in the tech lead team that I had at FAU, I think we had 6. In that group, 2 of the 6 were master's students. 2 of them were undergrad, or 3 of them were undergrad, and then there was Ben, who's a dual enrollment student. And Ben by far put in the most time, hands down, no argument, put in the most time. And everyone else was kind of hard to keep involved because they just had a ton on their plate. They did the position, or they applied and became a tech lead, but then they just didn't really have any time to dedicate, which was kind of a bummer. But it happens. We're going to do our best to try to avoid that here. So that is everything that I wrote down on my list. I do want to talk about, we got 4 people that are watching. I want to talk about the solution challenge real quick, since I did mention it yesterday. I also mentioned it during the info session. But the solution challenge is going to be something that we're going to be focusing on, especially in the beginning of the spring semester, probably at the end of this semester, maybe. Or actually, let me answer this question first. Okay, what if you have 5 years of healthcare and you just step into technology team and are interested? What are the chances? Transfer from community college and just started learning. Cool. Yeah, if you, like I said, the experience isn't everything. So yeah, that's awesome. I'm super psyched. I love to hear people that change fields to technology. It's awesome. I love that. Definitely, if you want to be a tech lead, then I would say, if you want to be a tech lead, I would just first just apply. If you want to be a tech lead, apply. But definitely apply to some other positions as well. That's actually another thing I didn't mention. I don't know why I didn't mention this. You can apply to multiple positions. You don't have to apply to just one. You can apply to multiple. You just do one form and then go to the form again, and then you can apply to a different position. If you want to be a lead, if you just started learning and related tech, then I think you'd be a perfect tech lead. But that's not that you're not going to be a fit for other positions. Because like I said, this entire core team is not just there's a lot of non-tech stuff that happens, and we could have 30 tech leads, but if we don't have any other positions filled, it's going to be so hard to get stuff done. We're not going to be able to grow the awareness of our club. We're not going to be able to create partnerships. We're not going to be able to manage things as well. I know everyone in this club or a lot of people in this club is CS background, but we need to be well-rounded as a core team. So definitely apply to any of the positions that you feel you're a good fit for. Because kind of like what I was saying earlier, I think your personality and kind of like your motivation and your drive as a person is more important than your technical background or your background at all. So definitely apply to whatever you're interested in. And yeah, we'll go from there. So I'm super excited to hear something like that. That's cool. It's really cool. That's awesome. I'm going to just quickly talk about the solution challenge. So like I was saying, we'll kind of focus on the solution challenge at the end, kind of like probably after finals. And then leading into kind of like the winter break, just to kind of get people's mind kind of turning, thinking about ideas. And then when we come back for spring, we can actually start going like full speed ahead for the solution challenge. So what the solution challenge is, it is an annual global competition from Google where you identify one problem in your community. It can be in Orlando, it could be in Florida, it could be a nationwide problem, and it could be a problem faced by a nonprofit, a school, a group of people, a business by anybody. It's just got to be a problem, and it's got to be a legitimate problem, not just a fake problem that you make up. And then you got to solve that problem using at least one Google technology. So most people create apps. It could be a mobile app, a web app, but it can also be something different. It could be something that is half hardware, half software, which is probably the route that I would go down because I love tinkering. I'm more IT minded than I am programming minded. And I would love to have a project that is hardware and software. So the sky's the limit with that. The way the competition works is a team of 4. I'm pretty sure it's 4, including yourself. And you 4 come together, you identify the problem, and then you decide how you're going to integrate a Google technology into solving the problem, which should not be hard. There's so many Google technologies to use. Firebase, Flutter, and the entire GCP platform alone, just those 3 is like that covers so many parts of making an app. There's so many tools just with those 3 things that I just named. Yeah, and then the way that it works is once you come up with your solution, it could be it just has to be a prototype. Then you submit it to Google, and they then select 10 regional winners across the globe. And then that's it. The top 10 winners will get some undisclosed prize from Google. Unfortunately, this past year, they were actually going to fly out all of the winners to Google. But because of the pandemic, they didn't. It's a real bummer. If I was one of those 10 winners, I'd be super upset. But I think Google actually sent them a ton of stuff, like a lot of Google swag and stuff. I don't really know exactly what the prizes were, but I think they kind of made up for it, and it's super cool to compete. And also another part of it is if you submit your project to Google for the solution challenge, they also set up a meeting with Google developers and your team, and they actually give you feedback on your project. So they tell you, hey, this is where you did really well. This is where you struggled. I would say instead of doing this, you should have used this. And they kind of give you some feedback, which is so cool. That's so valuable because as a developer, hearing feedback from professional Google developers is going to be like, 1, going to be so awesome, and 2, is going to help you learn, of course. So the solution challenge is awesome. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to participate this past year because the DSC program across the entire North American continent started really late, and then the pandemic hit, and it became pretty hard to prepare the entire club to participate in the solution challenge. But now I think we're a bit more comfortable in virtual, and I think it's going to be a little bit easier to manage now. So I'm super excited for the solution challenge, and we'll be talking a lot more about that soon. I don't have any other specific questions about like pre-baked questions about the core team. Pretty much the bottom line with the core team is I'm looking for people who are motivated, have a winning attitude, and really are just passionate about seeing this club become really successful, and growing the club, having fun, learning new technologies, and having people on my core team to help facilitate that is what I'm looking for. So yeah, definitely go ahead and apply. But kind of like what I was saying on some of these questions, if you feel like you have too much on your plate, then maybe it's not the best idea to apply. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, definitely find out what your average weekly plan is, and then decide, hey, do I have some extra time to dedicate without losing my mental sanity? Because I'm kind of like that, where I jam pack my whole schedule, and then it's like, hey, you actually didn't leave any time for you to take any breaks, or any time to eat. That's kind of my struggle sometimes. Sometimes I book my entire day, and then I woke up, I didn't eat breakfast, and then I didn't eat lunch. So though that is sometimes the life of a developer in a CS major, I guess. So for the rest of this meeting, if anyone has any questions, go ahead and drop them right now. Yes, it is a San Francisco beanie on my head. Oh, not my head, my bed. Um, and actually, I got the beanie when I was in San Francisco because, well, actually, no, not San Francisco. I was in San Jose. Because actually, when I became a DSC lead last fall in 2019, that was when Google flew out all of the tech leads to Google for the Google Summit, which was for the whole weekend. And they taught us, like, it was basically like a leadership workshop. They taught us leadership techniques. They taught us public speaking. They went through a lot of demos on GCP and Firebase. And that it was a huge networking opportunity. It was so fun. It was probably one of the best memories one of the best memories that I've ever had. Because they flew us all out. I got to go to freaking Mountain View, California to see Google, to meet people from Google, to meet people all over the country that were awesome, to have some really great food. By the way, Google makes some great food, man. They make some great food. So if you're ever wondering, is the food at Google good? Oh, it's amazing. It's very good. So yeah, when I was actually coming back home, and I had a red eye flight, so the flight took off at like almost midnight California time, and then I flew back to Fort Lauderdale, and I knew I was going to need some sleep, so I ended up getting the beanie, and then I put the beanie on my head with my headphones, and then when I got on the flight, I pulled the beanie over my eyes, and then I racked out. I went to sleep. That was the only way that I was going to sleep. So yeah, but that is a comfortable beanie. I love the Niners. I don't really have an NFL team because I play fantasy football, so I can't really like pick a team. But I love the Niners. And yeah, so yeah, I have a San Francisco beanie. Moved to Tampa when I was 6. Okay. Is in Mountain View where their headquarters are. Yeah. Their main campus is, I don't know if it's actually technically in Mountain View. I think it is in Mountain View. But yeah, they have a huge campus. Oh my gosh. We did actually go to the Google campus, but we mainly were at the Google Cloud campus, which is a little smaller. That's where we did most of our events, but we actually did go visit the main campus and kind of walk around. We had this like scavenger hunt event that we did. It was fun. Their campus is massive. It's huge. It feels like a college campus. It's crazy. Um, how do you define expertise in the application for the tech lead, for example? If I fill in Python and UI UX, is some experience satisfactory? Okay, so I guess if I'm understanding this right, uh, if you're saying I would check the things that you've done a couple projects with, maybe, or if you learned it in your class, then I would say that's pretty satisfactory um, knowledge or skill in that topic. So for me, I've literally done one little program in Python, so I wouldn't really consider that experience because I've like barely gotten my toes wet. But my experience is pretty much, well, I think pretty much everyone knows C and C++, um, at least a little bit from classes, and then I know HTML, CSS, a little bit of JavaScript. Really good with Bootstrap, even though it doesn't even count as a language; it's just a framework. Um, I like I said, I dipped my toes in Python a bit, and I've also dipped a little bit into SQL stuff, just because BigQuery kind of goes into that, and you kind of got to learn a little bit of that. So I would say if you've barely gotten your feet wet with it, I wouldn't check it. But if it's something that you've done a couple projects with, or you've watched a bunch of YouTube videos and then done some little things, then yeah, I would say it's good. That's experience. You should check that off. And yeah, pretty much anything that you feel like you're a little bit well versed in, or things that you're well versed in, you think you can learn more going forward, and become even more skilled, then yeah, definitely check that off. But if it's just something that you know exists, that's not experience. If you like, I could say, oh yeah, I know Ruby. I know what Ruby is, and I've looked through Ruby, but I've never messed with Ruby, so I don't have Ruby experience. So yeah, I hope that answers your question a little bit. But yeah, like I said before, don't feel intimidated because there's a ton of things that you can check. I just try to include as much as possible. Just put the things that you know, and then hopefully, if you're someone who's really motivated, then being a tech lead, you can probably pick up another couple things over the next year. So yeah, super excited for that. Um, looks like we've been going for 55-ish minutes. So if anyone has any questions about anything, it could be about core team, about the club, it could be a personal question for me specifically. It could be about GCP or Quick Labs or Coursera or certifications. Anything. If you have any questions that you've been dying to ask, we got some extra time for you to ask those questions. So yeah, go ahead and drop those in the chat, and I'll go ahead and answer those to the best of my ability. But yeah, I'm glad you guys came to ask some questions, hear a little bit about the core team, and hopefully now you are interested in applying and apply before midnight tonight, since that's the deadline. And I'll drop a reminder in the Discord channel after we're done, just to let everybody know that the deadline is upon us in a few hours. And I'm going to take one quick bite of my really, really good potatoes. Yep. If anyone has any questions, I can go ahead and answer those. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my slide deck because I do not need it anymore. Whoa, that just made my screen a lot bigger. Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad. There's a ton of potential in the club, a ton of potential. It's super fun. My experience at FAU was really positive. My experience working with Google has been extremely positive. You know, they do really, really do care about us succeeding as a club and as an entire program. So it's really nice to know that we have their support. And being able to collaborate with other clubs is something that's really, really interesting to me, and I'm really excited for. So I cannot wait to do some things with some other DSCs. Ton of potential. There's going to be a ton of fun, and I cannot do it without a really, really dedicated, motivated, and excited core team. So go ahead and apply if you want to be on the core team, and I'd be happy to have you on the team. I don't know why my webcam looks so bad. Like I'm looking at my screen right now and it's like super grainy. I don't know if there's just not enough light in this room or what. I'm not really sure. Okay, and I did say after we're done, I'm going to put some information on the GCP associate certification and also put the information on the student benefits. And also, I think that's it, just those main two things. And I'm just going to just put a reminder for the core team application. I think that's it, just the main three things. If there's anything that I mentioned during this call that I said I was going to send you guys later, just go ahead and let me know in Discord, ping me, or drop a message, and I'll go ahead and work on that too. But it looks like we don't have any more questions, and we're right up on the hour. So, yep, awesome. Yep, thanks so much, everyone who chimed in today. I look forward to seeing your applications. If you have any questions about anything, if you haven't looked at the form yet and you look at it and you have some questions, please feel free to DM me on Discord, or drop a message in the general channel and tag me, and I'll answer the question. Whatever. I'm pretty much usually awake until like midnight, and I'm up at 8:39ish. So just let me know anytime you have a question. Just feel free to reach out. But for now, thanks so much, everybody. Have a great night. And now for the next 5 seconds, I'm awkwardly going to wave just like this. And that'll be it. I'll catch you guys later.